Uh, Hello. Good good evening to all of you. So I hope you can hear me properly. Enough audible and you can see me. Yes. Great. Cool. You can see me and you can hear me. So we can start our proceedings. Yeah. So today is the second day that you are meeting me. So for the people who were not there last day, my name is Dilpahan Hettiarachi, and I will be conducting this economics grade 13 part of this seminar series. And last day, I can't remember, it's last year basically. Last day, we have done some questions, critical questions from quantity theory of money and equation of exchange related stuff from money and banking lesson, which is a very important lesson in grade 13 part. So today, as I sent you a message in the group, my plan is to do some questions and do some revision on credit creation calculations. And if time permits, we can go to the lesson number 8, public economics, and do the externality discussion, right? So credit creation is a very important part of this lesson. And most of the time, definitely it will be there in your paper. And most of the people are struggling to get correct answers for this section. So therefore, I thought of giving some support for you by doing some questions and by explaining the way that you can get the answer for these questions. Right. So this document I shared you last week. This is the topics breakdown and the past paper references of each and every subtopic in this lesson. So here you can see I have like break down this subtopics, and so then it's easy for you to study also. Topic wise topic you can study, you can revise once again, and in front of these topics I have mentioned some past paper questions which covers each and every topic, right? So So credit creation is what we are going to discuss first of all. So I would like to go to the definition of credit creation. So what is credit creation? So it's like this. This whole lesson consists of 3 components: money part, general price level and inflation part, and the last part is the financial system of Sri Lanka. And in this financial system, we have to talk about several components like central bank, like financial institutions, financial instruments, regulatory authorities, financial markets. So we are talking about several components of financial market of Sri Lanka. Yes. So as a diagram, we can explain it like this. Like this. So these are the components of whole financial system of Sri Lanka. The Lokuaya is the central bank, and then we have financial institutions, financial markets, instruments, regulatory institutions, and infrastructure. Out of these components, the most important component will be central bank, no doubt, and then it will be financial institutions. Out of the financial institutions also, commercial banks will be the most critical institution we have to learn about. Yes, so commercial banks creates a vital role in the whole financial system. And out of the work that commercial bank does, credit creation is one of the main important thing that they are doing. Why? Because this credit creation definitely influence on different parts of the economy. So what is exactly this credit creation? It's like this. Simply, there are some money which is printed by central bank. So central bank, they print money, they issue it to the public, and public, what they do is they go and deposit that money in commercial banks. And commercial banks, what they do is they create multiple times of deposits from this money what they have accepted from their customers. Right? So I will tell you an example. If I go and deposit 1 million in my bank, I will say Sampath Bank. Sampath Bank will definitely will not keep that money with them. They will give a loan of that 1 million to another person. Then what will happen? In the economy, yes, if we talk about the overall economy, I am thinking that I have money in my account. So I think I have money worth of 1 million. And actually that money is with another person. So overall, if we do the calculation, there will be 2 million calculated as money supply in the country, right? So who has done this difference? Who has like doubled the money supply? Originally it was 1 million, and because of this commercial bank's operation, it has increased up to 2 million, right? That's a simple example of credit creation. But the things are getting a little bit complex with this technical stuff. So we have to learn them, right? So this credit creation calculations altogether, we can divide into two. Single bank related credit creations and banking system related credit creation, right? So that means we can talk about Sampath Bank Nugegoda branch. We can talk about Sampath Bank Maharagama branch, as well as we can talk about the overall banking system of Sri Lanka, right? If we talk about Sampath Bank Nugegoda, that is a single bank. If we talk about the balance sheets and everything regarding the overall banking system of the country, that is banking system, right? So we are getting calculations for single bank as well as we are getting calculations for single bank as well as banking system. So we'll do some single bank questions and try to have a knowledge on that, right? So here I have selected some questions from single bank credit creation calculations. So all these calculations are connected with balance sheets, right? We'll just go to one question and see what kind of a question you would get. This is the first question I'm selecting, right? So no, I will select this question, 2017 question, right? So take like 30 seconds and read this available information in this question. Then we'll do this calculation. Just take 30 seconds and read what is there. Okay, so this is a balance sheet. So balance sheet normally consists of two sides. So here also you can see two sides. One, the left side represented by the liabilities of the commercial bank. So this is a commercial bank's balance sheet. Look at this, the balance sheet for a commercial bank. So we are talking about one bank. This can be Sampath Bank Nugegoda, Sampath Bank Maharagama, HNB Nugegoda, whatever bank, right? So in this bank, the balance sheet is as follows. So you have a few components. In liabilities, they have mentioned deposits. So what is this? The money what they have accepted from their customers, right? Okay, so this is the deposits that is there with their customers, which is maintained by each and every commercial bank, right? And then what is this? Reserves. Reserve means the money which is kept aside or reserved for one objective. What is that objective? To repay back to the customers when they ask for money, when they withdraw their money from their accounts. So for that purpose, definitely banks need to hold some money, and that is called as reserves. So here they are holding 100,000. And then we have treasury bonds and loans. Normally for a normal business, loan is a liability. But here, this loan is an asset. Why? This is a bank. Banks provide loans for their customers. So this loan is an asset for the bank. So they have granted loans and they will get that money one day from their customers. So this is an asset for commercial bank. Treasury bonds, also they have purchased some treasury bonds from the government. It is also an asset, right? So assets in the right side, liabilities in the left side. So you have one liability and three assets. And you can see the balances are tallying off, right? So this is the simplest explanation of a single bank's balance sheet, right? So most of the time, these components will be there in most of the questions, right? These are like very common components of balance sheets, right? So we'll go for the question A. If the statutory reserve ratio is 10%, what is the maximum amount of new loans that this bank could make in the future? Right. So first of all, we'll try to understand what is this statutory reserve ratio. That means SRR, that means a specific percentage decided by central bank on behalf of commercial banks. What is this percentage? This is the percentage that commercial banks need to hold as reserves from their deposits, right? So here they have 180,000 deposits. No? From this 180,000, 10% needs to be kept as reserves for the safety purpose of the commercial banks. So whenever these depositors ask for money, banks should have 10% with them in order to tell, so you want money, take this. So likewise, to give money, they have to hold 10%. So who decided this percentage? Look, central bank, right? So they have given it is 10%. What is the maximum amount of new loans that this bank could make? So we have to do a calculation. What is the calculation? I would like to go with some important equations. So to do that calculation, you should know these two equations. Equation number 1 and equation number 2. Required reserves equals deposit into SRR. So can we calculate this required reserves now? Yes, we can. What is the number of deposits? 180,000. SRR 10%. So required reserves equals deposit how much? 180,000 into SRR. How much is SRR? 10%. So what's the answer? 18,000. Right. So how much of reserves now they are actually holding? 100,000. තියෙන්න ඕනේ 18,000යි. හැබැයි now they have 100,000. So as a bank, they should be happy. They are in the safe zone and they have like more than enough money than required amount. right? So then we have to do another calculation. Calculation number 2. Excess reserves equals actual reserve minus required reserves. So we have to calculate excess reserves then. Actual reserve means what is the reserve amount they are holding. Then how much they have kept with them? 100,000. Here in the balance sheet, you can see that. Right. Excess reserves equals actual reserve, how much? 100,000. Minus required reserves. So we calculated the required reserves already. How much? 18,000. So what's the answer? 82,000. So what is this excess reserve? That is the answer for this question. What is the maximum amount of new loans that this bank could make in future? The answer is 82,000. So then you might ask a problem. So you calculated excess reserves and now you are telling the new loans is also 82,000. Yes. Whatever excess reserves are there with a commercial bank, it will be converted into loans in future, and that is the possible amount of loans that banks can grant in future. So excess reserve is the question, right? So don't write excess reserves. You write the maximum amount of new loans that this bank could make equals 82,000. Why? Because they have excess of 82,000 than required reserves. Okay. Clear? Any questions? I will give you like 15 seconds to ask any question. Are we clear? Right. Okay. Seems like you guys are clear. So then we'll go for B. What's B? If 10,000 million of deposits are withdrawn from this bank, what is the maximum amount of new loans that this bank could make in future? So once again, they ask the same question, but they are giving another scenario. So we have to do that adjustment and do the calculation once again, right? So then we have to draw a new balance sheet after this withdrawal. So here somebody will say Chin Chun Chang came to Sampath Bank and withdraw 10,000. So what will be the balance sheet after that? So this available balance sheet we have to adjust as per that. So how can we adjust it? So I'm not going to put all the information. Deposits, reserves, treasury bonds, and loans. So these are the main components. No? So this is, we say, bank A. So then initially the deposit was 180, but now Ching Chong Ching withdraw 10 million, 10,000 million. So then what we have to do for this balance sheet? We have to deduct 10,000 million. From where? We have to deduct it from two places. One is deposits. So when one person get the money, what he has deposited, so then definitely deposit should reduce by 10,000. So this should be 170,000. 180,000 minus 10,000, 170. Right? What's the other place we have to deduct this 10,000? That is reserves. Right? So the money what they hold, it will reduce by 10,000. Why? When Cheng Chong Ching came into the bank and asked for money, they have to give money. The bank needs to give money from the money what they have hold with them in the locker or whatever place, right? So the reserves what they have kept will reduce by 10,000. So then reserves, the new value will be 90,000. And then treasury bonds, will there be a change? No. Loans, not yet. Right. So this is the modified version of the balance sheet. So do we have a equality in both sides? Yes. 170,000 in both sides. Done. So this is not the answer. So first of all, we have to modify the balance sheet, and then now we can do the calculations and get the answer in simple way. So we can like do the same calculation what we have done before like this. So what I do is I take a copy of this. Copy again. I take a copy. No, can't. Right. So then what I do is I modify this one. So we have to do the same calculation. Now required reserves, the equation is same. Deposits into SRR. SRR is 10%. Now deposit how much? 170, not 180. Right? So here it should be 170,000. So then the answer will be not 18,000. It will be 17,000. Right? And then this calculation, excess reserves equals actual reserve minus required reserves. How much is the actual reserve now? Is it 100,000? No, it is 90,000. And required reserve, we calculated the new one, that is 17,000. So what should be the answer? 90 minus 17. You can do the calculation. Don't use calculators. You can't use calculators in your economics paper, right? Use your manual calculations. So answer will be 73,000. So the new excess reserve after withdrawing that 10,000 will be 73,000. So the question ask about the new loans. This bank, they can grant 73,000 after the withdrawal of 10,000, right? Okay. So what are the conclusions we can come up with? If there is excess reserve of a single bank, that is the amount they can give as loans in future. Yes. If there is a withdrawal, what we have to do? We have to deduct reserves and deposits both. What else we can come up with as conclusions? We have to use two equations all the time. First one, what is the first one? Required reserve equation. What is the required reserve equation? Deposits into SRR. And we have another equation, that is excess reserve equation, that is actual reserve minus required reserves. Okay, I hope you are clear. So I got the answer. No, I got a question. Okay, so one person is having one question. Yes, she's asking, do we always need to refer to the original question which is given in the first of all original question, or do we have to do the adjustments and continue? So basically, it's like this. When you read the question, you should understand what's the requirement, right? So here, basically, you can't continue. Yes, you have to come back towards the original balance sheet given in the question and do the necessary amendments, right? So that means that may AKD අපි කියවනේ අපිට 82,000 loans දෙන්න පුළුවන් කියලා. So when we give 82,000 loans here, right, and do the changes, right, your balance sheet will be totally changed. And that balance sheet can't be used to do the second calculation, right? So therefore, always we have to just go back to the original balance sheet, do the calculation and get the answer and show it, right? If they want you to continue, then their language is different, right? So then they will tell, okay, if after that they will do like this, then what's the balance sheet? Then they will do like this, then what's the balance sheet? So then you have to understand, okay, you have to continue the calculation. So whatever the balance sheet you are having in the previous question, that should be taken and do the calculation, right? So it's all about the language, what they are using when asking questions, right? Hari. So this is 2017 paper. Then we'll go for 2018 question. To do this question, I will give you some marks. So then I have explained some parts, right? So you can use that knowledge and try this question. I will give you like 1 minute, so 1.5 minutes maximum. Can you come up with answers for these 3 questions? So this is also a commercial bank question. Look at this. They are very much smart. So the examiners, the people who are preparing the paper, they are very much not smart, basically very, very what you call very cunning, very like try to trick you out. One of the banks in a commercial banking system. What's the meaning here? Is it a bank or banking system? One of a bank in commercial banking system. So this calculation is also related to one bank. System එකක ඉන්න එක පොරක් ගැන කතා කරන්නේ. Yes, a bank, right? So then we can use the calculations what we have done in the previous calculation for this also and get the answers. Okay, I will give you 1 minute. Can we come up with answers? Right. Okay. 1 minute is gone. I can't give you like a very big time. We have like very limited time to do the calculations and do everything. So I will do the calculation. Yes, so I received some answers for part A from you guys. So it's good, right? Right. So how can we get the answer? What is the required reserve ratio? That's the first question. So here you can see deposits are there. Shareholders equity. shares or capital, that is 25,000. Right. That is also a liability of a commercial bank. And then we have required reserves and excess reserves also. What is this? This is also a reserve. So both of this added together, we can call them as reserves. But two different names, required reserves and excess reserves. We'll talk about it later. Securities. So these represent the treasury bills, treasury bonds, other securities, what they have purchased as an asset. Loans, that's also an asset. Right. So what's the first question? Required reserves. So we have to use our first equation. What is the first equation? Required reserve equals deposit into SRR. I will write the equation once again. RR, required reserves, equals deposits into SRR. So required reserves, is it available? Yes. How much? 10,000. Equals. Deposits, do we have it? Yes. How much? 100,000 into SRR. Right. So then it's maths. How to get the answer? SRR equals. So you have to divide both sides by 100,000. So then in the right side, nothing will be left. Only SRR will be left. And here in the left side, 10,000 divided by 100,000. So SRR equals 0.1. And if we convert 0.1 into percentage, what's the answer? 0.1 into 100%, what's the answer? 10%. Right? So what's the answer for A? SRR 10%. So what's the equation? RR equals deposits into SRR. That's how we get the answer. Okay, clear? Done. What's the next question? Assume that a customer withdrew 2,000 million from his current account at this bank. By how much will this bank's reserve change based on cash withdrawal? Right. I will take a note and explain. So once again, this Chansung Chingai came into the bank and asked for 2,000 million. Yes. So now once again, he is withdrawing 2,000 million. Once again, we have to deduct 2,000 from both sides. So very clear, from here you have to deduct 2,000. From deposits, you have to deduct 2,000. Okay. And then what's the other reduction? Then you might have a problem. Are we deducting from this 10,000 or are we deducting from excess reserve? So I will ask you a question. Yes, you have like kept some money where you definitely need to keep that money and you have some excess money. So when somebody asks for money, from which place you give your money? Definitely from the place where you kept excess. Right? So therefore, the reduction will be from this. Right. Yes. So what's the question? By how much will this bank's reserves change on this cash withdrawal? So then you have to tell the initial reserves or before the withdrawal reserves equals 10,000 plus 5,000, 15,000. After the withdrawal, reserves equals, then here 10,000 plus 3,000, 13,000. Right? So without just telling, okay, there is a reduction of 2000, the best way of presenting this will be, you can tell, initially this was 15,000, now it's 13,000. Therefore, just put 3 dots and write, there is a reduction of 2,000 million rupees, right? So give a complete answer, because this is a 2 mark. Right, this 2 mark will sometimes take you from 74 to 75 to go for an A. Right, always think about think like that. Don't miss at least 1 mark. Try to accumulate all the marks possible. That's how you can go for a good result. Okay, right. Yes, so there is a question. Good one. Can we identify actual reserves and deduct from it? Yes. So basically, the term actual reserve can be given for the addition of these two guys. Required and excess together, it's actual reserves. And that is 15,000. Right? So from 15,000, there is a reduction of 2,000 and the new value will be 13,000. Yes? So no problem. No problem. You can show the actual reserve value and show the difference between then and before. There is another question. Why don't we adjust SRR? It's like this. SRR decided by Lokuaya, central bank. Commercial bank can't decide SRR. So whenever customer asks for money, they can't change the SRR and do the necessary adjustments. SRR can only be changed by Lokuaya, central bank only. Okay, so you have to go with 10,000. I'm sorry, 10%, which is given by CBSL. I hope that's clear. Right? Yes. So we'll go for C part then. What is C? What is C? Assuming that the required reserve ratio remain unchanged. That means SRR is still 10%. What is the maximum amount of new loans that this bank could make after the withdrawal of 2,000 million deposit? So initially there was a question. Do we need to continue the same question, or do we have to go back and do the calculation? So look at this language, C, right? So C clearly tell us you continue. So in B, there is a withdrawal. In C, they are telling, okay, assuming that withdrawal is there, you do your calculation and tell me the answer. So that's what they are expecting, right? So you have to read the question and understand what's the expectation. Right, we'll do this question. Hurry. What I do is I just take a copy of this sheet. And paste it over here. Right. Okay, I will keep it here. Right. So I have to change the values now. So deposits are there, required reserves are there. So what I do is I don't split the reserves. I will split the reserves as they have done in the balance sheet. These values are not relevant now. Okay. Right. So deposits is there, then equity is there, reserves. So what I do is first one is required reserves, and the second one is excess reserves. And then treasury bonds and securities, same. Loans, right? So we have this relevant information. Bank A, right? Then this is the balance sheet, and they told that Ching Chong Chang has withdrawn 2,000. So we have to record the new balance sheet with that. So now do we have 100,000 deposits? No, no. Hey, yes, so we gave out 2,000 and now the liability is only 98,000. So Ching Chong Chang's 2,000 is not anymore there. So deposit is 98,000. Shareholders' equity, is there any change? No. Required reserves, how much? We'll do that calculation later. So altogether, they have reserves of 13,000. Treasury bonds, it's same, and loans are also there, right? So we'll do the remaining calculations. First calculation, required reserves equals deposits into SRR. So required reserves equals deposits, how much? 98,000 into SRR, how much? 10%. So what's the answer? 9,800. So in the previous balance sheet, it was 10,000. Now required reserve RR is not 10,000, it is 9,800. How did that change? That changed because of the reduction in the deposits, right? Then all together, I write the second equation also. You can remember, altogether we had actual reserves of 13,000. කොහොමද මේ 13,000 ආවේ? The required reserves initially we had 10,000 and excess reserves from 5,000 there was a 2,000 reduction, and altogether excess reserve was 3,000. So that means actual reserve altogether, that is 13,000, right? Minus required reserves, now we calculated 9,800. So then we can get the answer for excess reserve. How much is the excess reserve? 13,000 minus 9,800. That would be 3,200. So excess reserve is 3,200. That is what we have to put over here. Right, that is what we have to put over here. So required reserves 9,800, excess reserves 3,200, and treasury bonds 30,000. So then we can do the relevant calculation and try to get the answer for loans. So basically loans will be same, 80,000, right? And this side it will be 123,000, and the other side also it will be 123,000. Are we clear how we got these answers? Right? It's still actual reserve 10 plus 5, and then Ching Chong Chang withdraw 2,000, then it reduced up to 13,000. Yes. And this 13,000 of total reserves, now it's split down to two, required 9,800 and 3,200 excess. Yes. So this question, C, what's the question? What is the amount of new loans that this bank could make? I told you that is excess reserves. So they're asking about the excess reserves. So how much is the excess reserve now? 3,200. Are we clear? Yes. Okay, so if you don't do that 9,800 calculation, if you don't reduce your deposits, and if you don't calculate the required reserves once again, you will simply tell excess reserve tunda tamai new loans that should create. So then your answer is wrong. Most of the people who attempt 2018 paper, they came up with that answer. Yes, more than 50% people were not able to give the correct answer for part C. Why? Because they couldn't draw a balance sheet and see how the calculation should be done. That is another good question. Sir, is there any situation where the securities amount change? Yes. I can't find now. I can't remember in which paper that was there. There were some questions, especially in school term test. Definitely, we were getting questions like that. They mentioned the commercial banks sell treasury bills or buy treasury bonds, and then they ask about the new balance sheet. Then these securities or treasury bonds bills will change, right? Sometimes what they do is, since they don't have enough reserves, they sell their securities and increase the number of reserves, actual reserves, right? That kind of calculations you can get, right? Sometimes they have excess reserves, and without lending that, without increasing the loans, they can increase their treasury bonds or securities, what they maintain. Yes, so they can give calculations like that also. Those are exceptional calculations, but still possible, right? So for your question, is can there be a change in securities? Answer is yes. So I have mentioned you some examples. Right, okay. So still I couldn't get any answers from anybody. This is also a single bank question, talks about one bank. There are some withdrawals and deposits. So carefully do the necessary calculations and tell me the answer. Okay, so I got like 1, 2 answers. Most of the people are like silent. Are they shocked with that words what you saw in the screen? I don't think so. Right? Okay. So we'll read the question. Assume that this is 2020 paper. Yes. So the latest paper that you can attempt from past papers, right? So think මේක වගේ තමයි 21ක්. So if you feel okay, this is tricky, that means you are not ready for the paper. That means you have to work a lot. Only 32 days more. for your A-level examination. Yes, I know it will be a little bit stressed up, but try your best to get 32 marks for these 32 days, right? If you had 40, that means you can go up to 72, right? So have that gut with you. කොහොම හරි මම මේක කරනවා කියලා have that gut with you. Right. Okay. So we'll do the calculation. Assume that one of a commercial banks in the banking system, so one bank, has excess reserve of 400 million and statutory reserve ratio of 20%. SRR is 20%. Meanwhile, a customer of this bank deposit 25, right? So then what will happen? So initially they had an excess reserve of 400 and so initially excess reserve was 400. And then what happened? There is a customer deposit of 25 million. Customer deposit of 25 million. So then what is the addition that you can do to this excess reserve? Is it 25? Is it 25? So excess reserve now is it 425? No. Why? From this new 25 deposit, since SRR is 20%, this bank needs to keep 20% from 25. So 25 into 20%, answer is 5. From this accepted 25 million, they have to keep 5% separately without lending. So therefore, under the excess reserve, we can't put all 25. We can put only 20. Right? We can put only 20. So then this new excess reserve will be 420. Right? So 400 plus 20, it's 420. Then, meanwhile, a customer of this bank deposit 25 million and bank lends 120 million to another customer. Then this bank has excess of 420 to lend whatever day they want to lend. And from this 420, they are lending 120. So this reduction of 120, definitely we can take it as it is. And what's the remainder? How much is remaining afterwards? 300 million. And this is the answer what you have to record. Right? 400 excess reserve tibba. Eking, they received another 25%. I'm sorry, they received another 25 value, but out of this 25, 20 is excess and 5 they have to hold as reserves. So 400 plus 420, and from this 420 excess reserves, they are lending 120, and then the question asked will be 420 minus 120, answer 300. Yes. So what's the correct answer? Answer number 5. Yes. Done. Right. So basically single bank calculations we are done. Then we can go with the banking system calculations. Right. Okay. So in banking system calculations, our calculations getting totally changed. Right. So it's totally different. Single bank and the banking system calculations are totally different. I'll take a banking system calculation then. This one. This is a support seminar paper question. Read the question and see. I will give you 15 seconds to read the question. Right. Okay. So once again, there is a deposit. So basically in the previous two calculations, in all three calculations, basically, the three calculations we discussed, there were withdrawals. This is the first time we are talking about a deposit. So one person, Chan Chung Ching, once again came into the bank and deposited some money. How much? 2,400. The question is, assume that the commercial banking system operates with SRR 20%. What is the maximum amount of new loans the banking system can be created? So here, very important thing, this one, banking system. The question asked about banking system, not a single bank. If it is a single bank, simply you can calculate the excess reserve and put it as the answer. But now this is the banking system. So for the banking system, you can see we can use this third and fourth equations, right? So whatever credit creation calculations you receive, you can do that calculation from these four calculations, from these four equations. Yes, trust me, you can do whatever calculation. So this one also can be done with number 3 and number 4, right? Okay. So how can we do it? So suppose a person deposited 2,400 in a bank. So first of all, what we have to do is we have to calculate the deposit multiplier, third equation, right? Just give me 1 second to erase this stuff. Right, okay. Right. So first of all, what you have to do is you have to calculate the deposit multiplier. What's the deposit multiplier? 1 divided by SRR. 1 divided by SRR. SRR, how much in that calculation? 20%. SRR is 20%. So, මෙන්න මේ calculation එක සමහර කට්ටිය වරද්ද ගන්නවා. So, if you get the answer 1 over 20, answer is wrong. So, you have to convert it into a decimal first. 1 divided by 20 means 0.2. Right? 20% means 0.2. So 1 divided by 0.2, what's the answer? Answer is 5. Right? Answer is 5. So that's the first calculation you have to do. And then you can use this, the fourth equation. Max. No, before that, basically you have to calculate the excess reserves also. Excess reserves. What's the excess reserve equation? Actual reserve minus required reserves. And go back to that calculation equation. Person deposited 2,400. So first of all, we have to calculate the excess reserve of this 2,400. So this person deposited 2,400. Therefore, now the reserves, actual reserve would increase by 2,400. හැබැයි 2,400න් අපි තියාගන්න ඕනේ, inside the bank we have to keep only 20%, right? So therefore we have to keep only 20%. So required reserve will be 2,400 into 20%. Am I clear? Yes. So what I have done here was I want to calculate the excess reserves. So how can I calculate the excess reserve? I put actual reserve value as the deposited value, and I calculate the required reserve separately, and the difference between these two values will be the excess reserves that this bank can use to grant loans. This banking system can use for grant loans. So I will do the simplification. So this will be the excess reserve answer, right? 1920. So this is the value that this banking system can use to multiply or create more and more loans. 1920. Then what I do is I use the last equation. Maximum credit creation equals excess reserves into deposit multiplier. So excess reserve, how much? We calculated it, 1920 into deposit multiplier 5. You'll get the calculation. 1920 into 5. Answer is 9,600. Do we have an answer like that? Yes. Answer number 4 is the correct answer. Okay, so there are some confusions with the students. So I will explain the way I have done the question once again, right? So once you want whatever calculation you can do from these 4 equations, right? So as per this question, they have told that they received 2,400 new deposit. So when one bank received this 2,400, they can't use this whole 2,400 for credit creation. They have to keep some money with them. That is SRR, that is the required reserves told by CBSL. So first of all, we have to calculate how much they can utilize to do credit creation. That is what I have done in this calculation. I calculate excess reserves. How can I calculate excess reserve? Now you have 2,400 money with you, that is at your actual reserve, that minus required reserves, 2,400 into 20%, right? So the 2,400 into 20% is 480. So 2,400 minus 480, answer is 1,920. This 1,920 is the credit creatable, or the money what you can use for credit creation. Then separately you calculate the multiplier, which is 5, and then simply you can multiply this 5 by 1,920 and get the answer for credit creation. Yes, maximum credit creation. So the question also asks about maximum loans that can be created, maximum credit creation. Answer is 9,600. Clear? I hope you are clear. Right? Okay. We'll go for another question. This one, 31. So you can get the same process, same steps, and come up with the answers. So I will give you 1 minute. Can you guys try to get the answer for this question also? 31. This is a seminar paper, 2016 seminar paper, right? MCQ 31. Please attempt and send me your answers. Right. 31. A person has deposited 1,000 in a bank. Once again, same story. Yes, Chan Chung Ching came in and deposited 1,000. The bank keep 250 as reserves, out of which 50 was excess. So now they are getting a little bit even more difficult. Yes, they don't tell SRR. You have to calculate your SRR. So it's a very simple calculation still, right? So what is the SRR? 1,000 is the deposited value, and out of that 250 they are keeping. So then you might think, 1050 කියන්නේ it's 25%. No. Out of which 50 was excess. That means here the required reserve is 200. So if you want, you can simply use an equation and get the answer, but I don't prefer to go for an equation. So excess reserve equals actual reserve minus required reserve, right? So excess reserve is 50, they mention it. And actual reserve is what they are keeping already, 250, and required reserve, we don't know. So RR this side, 50 that side. So required reserve is 200. So then deposited into SRR, deposits into SRR equals required reserves. And how much is deposits? 1,000. SRR done in and required reserves 200. So both sides, when you divide by 1,000, SRR will be equals to 0.2. That means 20%. Okay, right. So they don't ask about the SRR. They ask about the deposit multiplier, right? So what's the deposit multiplier equation? Deposit multiplier equals 1 divided by SRR. 1 divided by 20%. Answer is 5. Okay. So then 5 answers in third one, fourth one, and fifth one. 1 and 2 definitely wrong. And what's the next question? Total amount of loans created by the banking system, right? What's the equation you have to use? The last equation I mentioned in my explanation. This one, fourth one. Maximum credit creation equals excess reserve into deposit multiplier. Right. So maximum credit creation, how much? Maximum credit equals excess reserves into deposit multiplier. Excess reserves into deposit multiplier is how you get your maximum credit. So the question asks about the maximum credits that this banking system can create. So excess reserves, how much? How much we can put? Is it 50? Is it 50? No. Deposit multiplier, obviously that is 5. No, we can put it as 5. How much is excess reserve? How much is excess reserve? Then this new guy deposited 1,000. No? Out of that 1,000, how much bank needs to keep with them? 250? No. Whole 1,000? No. How much? 200. Why? Statutory reserve ratio is 20%. 10න් 20ක් තියාගන්න ඕනේ. The remaining 800, they can do whatever they. Yes. What is the excess reserve then? The remaining 800. So 800 into 5 would be. So what's the answer for this question then? Answer number 5. Multiplier 5 and the total loans the banking system can grant, it's 4,000. Yes. 28. So it's the same pattern, but there is new thing to learn. Monopoly bank. So monopoly word is there in the 5th lesson. This production cost and market structure. Yes. Yes, there is a possibility. What is this monopoly bank? Here, monopoly bank is not a single bank. Yes, it is a single bank, that's true. But when we do our calculations, if the calculation is regarding a monopoly bank, you have to do your calculation as a banking system calculation. Remember, yes. So even though it is a bank, since it is a monopoly bank, the whole credit creation, which is normally done by the banking system, will be done by this one and only bank, right? So therefore, we don't have to think a lot about monopoly bank. Simply, you have to do your calculation, and the calculation will be connecting with banking system. So banking system calculation should be done for a monopoly bank calculation. So thinking about this is a banking system, try to get the answer. This is not a single bank then. The calculation is equal to banking system. So think it as a banking system and tell me the answer. Okay, some people are telling it's the third answer. Some people are telling it's the fourth answer. Okay, let me do the calculation. First of all, I will calculate multiplier, deposit mul. Mul means multiplier. So 1 over 20%. Oops. 1 divided by 20%. Answer is 5. So that's the first calculation. Then excess reserves. Excess reserves equals actual reserve minus required reserves. Actual reserve kiyada 16,000. The new person deposited 16,000 minus required reserve 16,000 වලින් තියාගන්න ඕනේ ගාන. 16,000 into 20%. $12,800. Right? Then the last equation. Max credit creation equals excess reserves into deposit multiplier. So excess reserve how much? 12,800 into deposit multiplier is 5, and you can get the answer. 64,000 is the answer. Yes. So most of the people are correct. They gave me the answer as the third one. Third one is the correct answer. Right. Shabash. Yes, this time most of the people gave me the correct answer. Right. That means you have identified the pattern, understood the pattern, and that's how you get the answer for these kind of calculations. So basically, so you can see. So it's like they are repeating the same question by changing the numbers and doing some little changes, but the mechanism is same. Banking system, it's depending on these three equations: multiplier, excess reserve, credit creation calculation. Single bank, only two equations required: required reserve equation and excess reserve equation. Yes, so simple as that. So practice more questions, and you would be able to do whatever question, whatever difficult question, if you go with the same pattern. Proceed. Right? Okay. Yes. So do you have any more questions regarding this credit creation calculations? So I will give you like few minutes to ask whatever question. Yeah, I'm going to do another question, but not a similar pattern question. This is a little bit difficult, a different question, right? So for this one, you should have like a further more knowledge from the stuff before credit creation discussion, right? But since this is 2020 paper, right? So basically, when you do your past papers, you might realize sometimes the question which is asked in 2017, they're asking the same question, same type of question 2018, right? So sometimes they ask a question in 2013, after doing a little change, they ask it once again in 2014. So I can give you several examples. So therefore, definitely you have to make sure that you have a thorough understanding of the answers of 2020 paper, right? 2020, you have to have a very clear-cut understanding before going to the 2021 paper, right? So that's why I selected this question, right? This is the only calculation you have in this sixth question. Look at this. Just take 30 seconds and try to understand the information available. Right. Okay. So there is a question. So this time, do you expect a banking system question or single bank question? It's like this. 2017-18, they continued with single bank question. In new syllabus in 2019, they started with a single bank question, and 2020, this is a banking system question, right? So if you can like figure out a pattern, 17-18 single bank, sorry, 17-18-19 single bank, 20 banking system, then question mark. So there is a big possibility that it could be a banking system calculation, right? If they ask a banking system calculation in the second part, definitely they will put a single bank question in MCQ. So that pattern they will definitely maintain, right? So more than 50% probability is for the banking system calculation. Right. So we'll talk about the answers for this question. Assume that in a hypothetical economy, during a given period of time, total money stock was 6,400. So Megadi, you have to learn one thing. In the money and banking discussion, we had different money supply types. M1, M2, M2B, M4. So likewise, you discuss about several types of money supply. Here, they say total money stock was 6,400. Then you might have a problem. So what is this? Is it M1, M2, M2B? So no idea. Remember, if they don't mention what is the money supply they are talking about, you have a choice. What is that? Then you have to assume it is M1 money supply. Remember, okay? So if they don't mention what is the money supply they are talking about, always stick into M1. M1 is what? Two components are there in M1. CP plus DD. Currency held by public plus demand deposits. Right? And then the question continues and tells us total amount of bank deposits D held by public was 5,200. So demand deposit value is how much? 5,200. So you have these two numbers. What is the difference between these two numbers then? 6,400 කියන්නේ CP plus DD na. 5,200 is DD na. The difference is CP. What is CP? Currency held by public. So 1,200 is the currency held by public. Okay, so so when you are attempting this kind of a question, you can just write it down. Whatever information you found, you figure it out, you can write it down separately. Right. SRR 10%. SRR 10%. And there is another information. Excess reserves 280. Right. Okay. This information available. Another information I missed. No, M1 6,400. So M1 includes demand deposits of 5,200 also. Right. So we'll read the question. What was the total amount of high-powered money in this economy? So can you remember high-powered money? What is this? What is this high-powered money? This is the base for the total money supply. This is the foundation. This is the strongest money circulated within the economy. Strongest means not in terms of physical strength, in terms of liquidity, in terms of purchasing power. High-powered money is the most liquid assets. So in terms of actual money, high-powered money represents. So there are some components of high-powered money. Can you remember? What are the components of high-powered money? CP is a component. Then what? CKB. Then what? RR. Then what? DOI. So anybody who couldn't study or who couldn't have a proper note, then you might be confused. What is this? Right? So I will explain. CP stands for currency held by public. CKB stands for, okay, so I have to write the equation. Okay. High-powered money equals CP plus CKB plus RR plus what else? DOI. CP means currency held by public. CKB means currency held by commercial banks. CKB, currency held by commercial banks. RR, required reserves, DOI, deposits of other institutions. Okay. So here in this calculation, so CP, how much? We write it down. CP, how much? 6,400 minus 5,200. Answer is 1,200. Plus CKB. So did they mention CKB? Yes. What is CKB? Bankuwa අතේ තියන් ඉන්න සල්ලි ටික. Cash in hand with commercial banks. What is this? That is equal to excess reserves. So in this question, they are mentioning about the excess reserves, right? How much is the excess reserves? 280 plus required reserves. Can you remember the required reserve equation? Deposit into SRR. How much is deposit? 5,200. Deposit is 5,200 into SRR. SRR is also given 10%. Right? And deposits of other institution, do we have it? No, it's not mentioned. We have only 3 components. So then simply we can get the values. $5,200 into 10%, it's 520. So 1,200 plus 280 plus 520, answer is 2,000. Okay, answer is 2,000. Right? So that's how we get the answer for high powered money. CP 1,200, CKB equals to excess reserves, that is 280 plus RR 5,200 into 10%, it's 520, altogether 2,000. Then the section B, what was the value of money multiplier? What was the value of money multiplier? How can we do that? Then you have to remember the money multiplier equation. What's the money multiplier equation? Money multiplier equals M1 money supply divided by high powered money. So you have to remember these equations, otherwise it's difficult. M1 money supply, how much? 6,400. High powered money, how much? 2,000. Answer 6,400 divided by 2,000. Answer is 3.2 is the answer. So is this in terms of percentages or rupees? No, this is in terms of times, right? So 3.2 times is the answer. Yes. So how easy to get 5 marks? Very easy. The only thing is practice, right? If you can do enough calculations, enough practice, then these values will be very much easy to understand, right? So done. That is also done. Right. So from there, I'm going to stop the credit creation calculations. Is there any request of any other calculation that you want me to do and show? Right. Okay. So those are the credit creation calculations that you have to attempt. So there are several calculations. Just go. So just refer to my document what I have shared with you, and then you can do further more calculations. So next, what I do is I will give you a just introduction of the things what I'm going to discuss next day. Yes. So next day, my focus will be, just give me 1 second. Next day, my focus will be to explain you about another critical part, which will be definitely coming in your paper, right? So credit creation calculations, no doubt it's anyway coming, right? So therefore, we have to practice for it because it's anyway there in your paper. Likewise, in public economics, in the next lesson, lesson number 7, once again, you have another routine question like that. What is that? Externalities, right? So all the time they are asking questions regarding externalities with diagrams. So some people are still having problems with diagrams of externalities. So next day, within the first hour, I'm going to explain about this externality diagram. So today we will have a start. So next day we can continue it. And then in the latter part of that session, I am going to do some absolute and comparative advantage calculations, right? So that's the plan for next day, right? So today we have like 15 minutes more. So we'll try to talk about a calculation related with externalities, right? Okay. Public economics, lesson number 8. What is this lesson talks about? It talks about the government operation, how government can involve in a market economy, right? So what are the different policies they are coming up with? What are the different decisions they are taking? What are their objectives? Yes, what is their budget? What is their financing method? Everything will be discussed in this lesson, right? So the first part of this lesson was named as market failures, right? So these market failures are the reasons why government should involve in a market, in a country, right? So the inefficiencies created by the market economy help government to come into the economy and do necessary actions. Yes, in that list of market failures, the last market failure we are talking about is externalities. External it is. So that's how it's connected. So basically that means the different impact created to external parties is called as externalities, right? So when an economy engage with consumption and production process, there are some situations which generate external costs and external benefits, right? So external cost and external benefits, and those are called as externalities, right? So then look at this example what we had right now. Yes, so in our class there are some nut cases, and they want to have some fun. So what they do is they just take the anode and write different words and fill the words in the screen. So that's his fun, his or her fun, right? That's his own consumption, consuming the way of, consuming this Zoom application. But because of that activity, there is a external benefit to external cost. External cost. So you guys, the people who really want to study something, learn something from me, right? They are getting a cost, right? That is what? External cost, externality, right? So when people consuming cigarettes, when people consuming alcohol, when people use vehicles with high smoke, yes, high black smoke from the silencer, right? So when the production processes are engaged with environmental pollution, then we can see this external cost, externality, right? Not only external cost, whenever there is an external benefit also, we call it as an externality. You might have a problem. So why we consider good things? Why we consider about this good benefits also as a failure? The problem is the market economy, they don't consider about both cost and both benefit comes for the external parties, and that is a failure, right? So මොකක් හරි පාඩුවක් වෙනවා නම්, yes, government, the market economy, they don't care about it. And if there is a benefit, that also they don't care about it. So both situation, it's a problem. So government should involve and ensure that they are recognizing all the cost and all the benefits, right? So that's about the externalities. So the classification of externality goes like this. So externality is divided into two: production and consumption. So production externalities, we have positive and negative. Consumption, once again, positive and negative. So I have mentioned some examples also, right? So just go through with this table little bit. Right. So we'll link this theory with our A-level past paper questions. Look at this 2020 paper. Look at this question, 5 marks question. This question covers negative externalities. Why does the free market overproduce a good with negative externality? So basically this question talks about one externality out of these 4. What is that? Is it positive or negative? Negative. Is it production or consumption? Look at the question. Overproduce. It talks about production, right? Production negative externality ගැන තමයි මේ question එකෙන් අහලා තියෙන්නේ. So this question talks about production negative externality. So that means they refer to examples like this. Okay, right? So today I'm not going to draw the diagrams. Next day I will talk about the diagrams. But today we'll try to understand the different externalities, what they are mentioning in the past papers. So 2020, okay, they ask about production negative externality. 2019, but no, not in 2019. So if you don't have any question in 2000 in the second paper, definitely it will be there in MCQ paper. So once again, look at this. Look at this. Why does a free market overproduce with negative externality? Explain your answer with an appropriate diagram. What is this 2017 paper? Right? The exact same question, copy and paste in 2020 also. Can't you understand the importance of doing past papers? Right? Copying and paste, that's what they are doing from 2017 to 2030, 2020. Right? So make sure you practice these papers and go. So 2017, they asked the same question, and 2016, let me check. Yes. Explain how existence of externalities lead to inefficient allocation of resources in an economy. So in this question, they are not specifically mentioning about one externality. Basically, they are asking about all four externalities in this diagram, right? Okay, clear. And 2015, once again, there is a question. Explain using an appropriate diagram how the market system fails to allocate resources efficiently. When they are sticking into one question, one externality category. When the production of production of goods entail external cost. Once again, it talks about production externality and it creates external cost. Is it a positive externality? No, it's a negative externality. So this question also asks about negative externality in production. So that means within last 6 years, 4 times they have asked about externalities and all 4 times they ask about negative externality in production. Okay. So how can we draw the diagram? So I have a doubt. Right. So what I do is I'll show the diagram. This is the diagram you have to draw. So next day we'll draw step by step and understand how to draw a complete diagram. Let me zoom it a little bit. This kind of a complete diagram you have to draw and explain when they ask about externalities. So this is negative externality in production. You have a normal demand and then you have 2 supply curves, right? The black color one is the original supply curve and the black color demand curve. So basically, this black color demand curve and black color supply curve considered as the original market demand and original market supply. Market. So if the market economy perform alone, they go with these 2 black color demand and supply curves. So therefore, we call it as personal benefit curve and personal cost curve. MPC, marginal personal cost. MPB, marginal personal benefit. Right? And PB and PC equal at that equilibrium. Okay, so this is the equilibrium price. So this is the original equilibrium. PB and PC equal point. Then we have to remember about the externality. It's a production externality. Production is connected with demand or supply. Production means it's affecting to supply curve. Negative externality. That means do we need to increase the supply or do we need to reduce the supply? We need to reduce the supply. So therefore, supply curve should be reduced to the left side. It will go to the left side like this. Okay. And then this new supply curve you can draw like this, and it will be the marginal social cost curve. This is marginal personal cost, and the new one will be marginal social cost. What's the difference between these 2 curves? The black color one is the supply curve if we think about the personal cost, private cost. The red color supply curve is the supply curve which derived by considering the social cost, society, right? And the demand curve, we don't change. Why? Externality is only production. So no problem with the consumption. So therefore, no impact on the demand curve. So original demand curve and the new supply curve intersect over here. And this is the equilibrium you have to maintain if you are thinking about the society. In simple terms, මෙන්න is what you currently have in your market economy. And this equilibrium is what you want to achieve. You want to go and try to achieve, right? So when you move from the old equilibrium to new equilibrium, the prices will go up and the quantity will go down, right? So it's good now. This is a bad product. This is a product which create a cost to the society. So why don't we reduce the supply? Why don't we reduce the production? That is what we are doing over here. Why don't we increase the price? Because it's a bad product. So after doing these changes, this is the new equilibrium. We can settle it down. Okay, clear? Right. And few more things we can learn from here. That is, after this shift, you can see a vertical difference between these two curves, like this difference. And you can see, since these two curves are parallel, the vertical difference is always same at every point. What is this vertical difference? This is called as external cost. And if it is a positive externality, it will be external benefit. Right? External cost. And the triangle, you can see a triangle created with external cost. And that triangle is called as the net weight loss. So as the last explanation for today, I will just give a summary. Market economy is there. They just operate with the self-interest. So therefore, they think about the private cost and the private benefit, right? When they think about the cost and the benefit privately, they go with a equilibrium somewhere around here, which is inefficient, which is bad for the society. So government realize the situation and they come and they change the supply curve by charging a tax or doing something. And because of that, the price should go up, the quantity should go down. Yes. So this government influence will equal to the external cost of this production. Yes. So cigarette nisa, passive smoking nisa, when a cost will be the external cost. And if it is a smoke emitting vehicle, so the cost of environment represented by this external cost. And that should be addressed by the government by charging taxes or do something else. Right? So this discussion will be continued next day with some past paper questions. And then I will go for international trade related calculations afterwards. Right? So that's the plan for next day. So today it's time to wrap up the session 4. So I hope you learned something from me. Yes. So today just learning is not enough. Just today or tomorrow, make sure you, with that knowledge, you practice 4 more questions and do more questions and get ready for your exam. Right? Okay. So good night then. We'll meet you on next day on economics. Until that, see you. Stay safe.